We're just okay, and we play some
Movies.
games. We're just okay.
Movie
games.
watchers.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Just Okay Movies. I'm your host, BIGGIESIZE, and I'm joined by...
The not host, Gweedo.
Well, hey, Gweedo. How you doing, man?
I'll never be their host.
Oh,
I don't wanna.
You don't wanna? It's, dude, I've got a lot of respect for you, man. It's a little bit of pressure being the host. You know,
you get over it.
Okay, good. Because I kind of feel like, okay, I've got to keep everything going. And I think I'm doing a better job than way back at the beginning where
At
you guys
least
ran rampant.
Yeah, you know I have like my heart stops when there's a pause.
Right.
And I have to say something. I know these fuckers aren't going to say anything.
Dude, I feel the same thing. And I think I'm starting to get a little bit better with that. Like, just think of something, say anything. And before it's like, oh my God, there's a pause. I feel like I'm going to die. And it is just a terrible feeling. Like, I don't see how people do it like live on air. Like, I think it would just freak me out. Whereas at least we can edit it. So you fuckers listening don't even know what's missing or what we've cut out. It's great. It's wonderful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we record these for what? The last one was like about 4.5 hours of recording.
About 4.5 hours. I say all that, probably about 3 hours for just dead silence.
Yeah, and you cut it down to 40 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. That sounds about right. Well, Gweedo, we had a big trailer drop this week for I would definitely say, another Marvel film, but it's definitely a hero that the majority of the population, including myself, have absolutely no idea who the fuck it is. And that is the Captain Marvel trailer. And, I knew it was going to be dropping eventually because I think it comes out, early next year before the second part of Infinity War, whatever they're calling it. And no idea who this person is, what they do, their whole story. And what did you feel about the trailer? And did you have an understanding of who this character is prior to seeing it?
My only exposure to her, I'm looking at my comic book wall, is through the new Avengers. There's a series of Avenger comics after the Avengers reassembled after so many years, and it was in the early 2000s. And she was part of the team. So I don't know anything about her origin. I don't know. I could tell you a few instances where she did cool stuff in fights with the Avengers, but other than that, I don't know much about Carol Danvers. No, is this Danvers? Is
that name sounds familiar. I don't even know. I think they said it in the trailer, but the whole thing's kind of a blur.
But as to the trailer, I like, they're really hitting home the woman empowerment thing, which is good.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the trailer is just kind of garbage.
It's not a great trailer.
It's not. Marvel's done way better with way less. And I'm not sure what they were trying to do. Well, I do know part of it. If I see one more fucking meme about her punching an old lady, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm going to be very mad because I'm just tired of it. Like, of course they put that in there. Of course they had to put something in there that was slightly memorable for people to just meme to death. Yeah. And of course that's got to be there. And to me, that almost just taints the whole trailer in itself. But I mean, all we know, if you haven't seen it, definitely, go watch it, of course. Won't hurt you at all. But all we know is apparently she was or was not abducted. She's maybe or maybe not have lived like several lives as different people. They felt like they kind of hinted at. And she maybe or maybe is not from the past and or future. And she punches an old lady on a bus. That's about all we know. And, it sounds interesting, but the trailer is it feels like a Warner Brothers DC trailer. That just how fast and how much it doesn't make sense. And maybe that sometimes that's okay for a trailer, but I think they needed to massage it a little bit to kind of get some excitement, especially for a character that I don't necessarily think we're all that excited for. Now I think a great example is like Guardians of the Galaxy. That was definitely another one. No one was, I don't think, was like, just like yearning for a Guardians movie because most of us didn't know what the hell it was. But that first trailer was great. It introduced everyone and it kind of got you to that world, and it was fascinating, and it kind of made sense to a degree. But this is just a mess of visuals and not done well. The poster's great, but
Yeah,
I don't know what the hell to think about it.
I'm all for trailers not telling us a lot about anything.
Right.
It's good. You're not going into it spoiled. But I think with this one, especially this one, because it's not a huge character at all. Even Doctor Strange has one up on Captain Marvel. You need to set a base. You gotta show a little bit of what we can expect. And it was just a flash of images of different points in her life, and then some Skrulls show up, and that's it. She's fighting in space, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, you're going from her like in the desert with Nick Fury, or I guess it's Nick Fury, Samuel L. Jackson, and looks like they're like maybe in the 70s, to her like in a really like futuristic jet, and then her like having beams shot into her head in the suit, and sometimes she's in the suit, not in the suit. I don't know, like what I think the part I hate is I probably sound like a douche because I feel like everything I'm listening to myself say sounds awesome, and it should be, but in the trailer, or at least in the form it's in, it's just not. And as much as I would like for it to kind of make sense, or at least get me excited for someone I have no idea who it is, I'm just not. And at this point, I don't even think it's Marvel fatigue, because I mean, Infinity War just like shot me full of steroids, and I am pumped for Marvel again. And this one was just, I don't know. Could have used a little bit longer in the editing room, but maybe it'll be good. And I agree that the female empowerment thing, sure, it'll kind of beat you across the head a little bit, but it's not the worst. Maybe the lines she says in it, the delivery is god awful, so that worries me a hair. She sounds kind of like a moron a little bit.
Well, we just got to have faith in MCU, right? Like, they know what they're doing.
It'll be fine. Yeah, it'll be fine. It's gonna make like $500 quadrillion. Like it'll probably win the Oscars next year, right next to Black Panther. Like, it'll be just fine. Everyone's gonna love it. Hell, I'm probably gonna love it. I mean, she's hot, so that's at least the reason.
I can theorize on some of the story. So
please.
They show Skrulls, that's those green alien dudes.
Okay.
That showed up in the trailer for a minute. They can shape change. They can change into whatever. So that's why I figure she was punching the old lady, because she found out it was a Skrull. Okay. And the Skrull and the Kree have been at like a war for centuries. And I think that Captain Marvel, that Carol Danvers, is half human, half Kree. So that might be why she gets abducted or sent into space, is because they find she has some latent powers, bring her into space, turn those powers on, say, hey, you're Kree, now you got to fight the Skrull. And then they send her back to Earth because they find out the Skrull are invading or have some sort of scheme planned. I'm making all this up off the top of my head. I have no idea if this is true.
I think it makes sense. Okay, so let me make sure I understand. The Kree are the good guys, I guess, or at least in this theory, and the Skrull are the bad ones. Okay, and the Skrull are ones that can shapeshift.
Yes.
Okay. Because it did show several scenes, and probably the best scenes is she's like with a team of other people? And like, is you have any knowledge of like what that is? Was she just like a part of a group in space somewhere?
Man, I don't know. Maybe the Kree have some sort of, team. I'm sure there's some comic book nerd out there yelling at us right now.
Oh, I would love to hear from them. Please send us a tweet, send us an email, a voicemail. We would love to know, because right now we're putting pieces together. Okay. Well, there was one part where we do see a guy's face and he looks fairly human, although it looks like he had some sort of powers. I had read, I don't know if it was on The Verge or some tech site where they were kind of chatting about the trailer, that he was potentially like the previous Captain Marvel. Like there may have been like a lineage of them. And I don't know if I misread the post or the comment the person made. Do you have any knowledge of that?
There was a Captain Marvel, and his name was Marvel.
Okay, I remember them mentioning that.
So maybe she, absorbed some of his powers, or maybe that's her father. Who knows?
Okay,
I don't know.
Yes.
I really don't know enough about this lady and her comic book history to really comment. I was always an X-Men guy. Ask me something about X-Men.
Well, speaking of X-Men, I have heard that there are rumors that Wolverine may show up in Infinity War. Now, I'm going to go ahead and assume it will not be the actor guy that we know as Wolverine. It'll probably be someone else, if it's even true. I mean, right now we know the 21st Century Fox thing is going through pretty much as good as Disney's at this point. So I wouldn't rule it out seeing a X-Men character in the next Avengers film, even if it's just a small little cameo. And of course it would be Wolverine if they had to pick one. But it's possible. It would be kind of cool. And I would definitely be interested to see where they would take Wolverine. Would it be the comic book style, or maybe a new kind of Marvel MCU style of Wolverine? Have you heard that at all? It's just been a slight rumor I had heard that it could happen.
I haven't heard that. It'd be a good opportunity for them to at least to unveil one of the Fox characters that they obtained through the deal that has gone through. I don't know if the timeline matches up, lots of wire that you need to cut, and you got to dot your I's and cross your T's to finalize that deal. So who knows if it'll go through. I'm sure that they want to, because, hey, if you can get like the Fantastic Four or something in there with a little teaser, that would be huge. But I haven't heard anything about Wolverine. I don't know where they would put him in. I guess he's the biggest character that they don't own now that they own Spider-Man. So perhaps, but I don't see him fitting in.
It would be, I totally agree. I could see them wanting to do it because, I mean, after Infinity War's wrapped up, I don't know. It'd be hard for me to kind of get interested back in the universe. I'm sure they'll do something, but I mean, I know we keep praising Infinity War, but it was just so damn good. And I even kind of wonder if the sequel's really going to even live up to that. But being able to, if they have the time to do it, or the legal reasons to actually be able to use those characters at that point, be able to put the X-Men universe in, I mean, that would definitely be a way for me to leave the theater, be like, oh my God, now we got X-Men in there, and maybe they're going to do something. I'm sure they're just going to completely wipe what happened with Fox. I don't see any way that they would. Maybe, it's tough because they've built such a great, maybe not great, a pretty good story going on at Fox with the X-Men series. But honestly, I think it would be better for them just to wipe it clean, start all over, use the same people. The guy who plays Young and Xavier, if they're going to bring him in,
get them all out of there. Start fresh. You got to start fresh.
Start fresh. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Fuck them.
Fuck him. And I want
Yeah, just-
like Wolverine, Hugh Jackman, he did okay. He did great. People like Hugh Jackman, but I want a fucking 5'4", burly ass, hairy ass dude with a deep voice to play Wolverine.
Yeah, drinking and a big old cigar.
Yeah, I don't want handsome, 6'2" goddamn fucking Hugh Jackman. Give me an ugly troll dude, because that's what I always see Wolverine as.
Right.
And they got to do the costumes. If they have X-Men come back, they got to do the costumes, and they will. MCU knows.
Yeah, it's okay to be campy. Bring in the campy costumes. It's awesome.
Right. It's fun.
Live, embrace it, and that's been the biggest problem with DC is it's almost they're just too embarrassed to have, campy Superman, campy Batman stuff, but that stuff's great. MCU's done a good job on, keeping it a little modern, but bringing some of that camp. We love it.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's silly. The whole thing is silly.
There's actually a reason for the costumes when it comes to the X-Men.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they made them these flamboyant costumes because there's these mutants out there that are just getting their powers and they're afraid and they don't know what to do and they're being hunted. And then they see these fantastical people, these other mutants that show up in these bright costumes out in the open, walking free. And it gives them a sense of like, oh, well, I can do that too.
Oh.
That's how they explained it in one of the issues I've read, but that was years after the fact that they generally just made it because it was fucking flashy costumes. But that's how they explained it away in the comics. Because there was a time in the comics where all the X-Men wore the black leathers and shit, like the movies did in like the first X-Men movie. Actually, all the X-Men movies. And then Scott Summers gathers them all up and he's like, shit, we're being attacked, guys. We need to bring the costumes back because people need hope. So we're going to be that hope. I love the X-Men, man.
Oh, I do too. I think if there's one sect of superheroes I enjoy, and it's not even necessarily, I mean, the powers are great, and I love Cyclops. He's such a cool character, but I just love the moral situations that are in X-Men, just how great it is. That fight and ideology between Magneto and Xavier is just so fascinating because you could just see so clearly both sides. And I don't really know which side I would really want to be a part of. Mm-hmm. And it's great. It makes it so much fun. It's not just people blasting each other with lasers and punching each other in the face. There's a real fight of ideology that really, I don't know if you could fault one or the other for going to either side, depending on the way you wanted to look at it. And I really felt like the movies that Fox did kind of encompassed that a little bit. Probably hit it on the head a little harder than the comics did or such. Just tried to appeal to probably older audiences or a broader audience, but I always just found that so fascinating, and I would love to see that kind of those kinds of stories kind of creep more into the MCU, and it kind of did with Infinity War. You could really see Thanos's his vision that okay, well, in a maybe a slightly twisted way, I could side with him. It makes sense. And I would absolutely love to see that.
The problem with X-Men in the MCU is it opens up the floodgates of just mutants everywhere. And there was a point in the comics where it got to the point where it was like it was lazy writing where they just explain away new problems as, oh, it's another mutant. It's another mutant, more mutants.
Oh,
Beavis.
Yeah.
It turns into like a hero and villain creation factory where it's just a lazy origin story of I hit puberty and I got powers. So
yeah,
I'll be excited. I'll be interested to see how MCU handles that. I'm sure they'll have some way to handle it. That's pretty good. Another thing that's happening is Disney is releasing a streaming service, and they're going to have television shows for Scarlet Witch and Loki.
Oh boy. Scarlet Witch show. Can't wait to see that. Can't wait to pay Disney $10 a month to see a Scarlet Witch show.
Hey, it could be good.
Thank you,
especially
Disney.
if she's a mutant, because she is a mutant.
Yeah.
So it could open a door there. But Loki series, I watched fucking Loki, like a prequel series of him just going around different dimensions and fighting and getting into trouble and playing tricks on people.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. I
that'd be
think
cool.
the Loki one does sound good. Yeah, I think they could do a lot of fun stuff with it, and also change the scenery up. Kind of get away from Earth for a little while and do some neat wherever they're from, that whole plane of existence. That world. That there's a lot of freedom they could do there, and I'm sure it'll have a nice budget, so it'd look great. Yeah, Scarlet Witch. I don't know. Whatever. She's
Scarlet
hot.
Witch is
I'd
a
probably
cool
watch
character,
it.
dude. They haven't done her service, but she's a cool character. I like her.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
She'll
fair.
have her time to shine.
Yeah. 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 We'll see.
Especially if they do bring in mutants and then they reveal that Magneto's her father. Like,
Is that true?
yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Oh,
She's
who's her
Magneto's
mom?
daughter. I don't know offhand.
Okay. I know she was like a main, like, big character. I'd never heard
Yeah.
that before. That she
Oh,
was
really? Her and Quicksilver are Magneto's spawn.
Oh, really? I thought Quicksilver was what's his name? Hugh Jackman's kid.
No.
Oh boy, I got
No.
that way wrong then.
Yeah.
Okay, so both of them are Magneto's children.
Uh-huh.
Wow,
So,
now that
like, if that
is
goes in-
interesting.
Yeah, if they broach that on the series, it could have some pretty cool things that could go on, I guess. I don't know.
Okay, you've piqued my interest a little bit now. I did not know that. Okay, well, all right, Disney. You know what? I'll do your free 1 week trial, and I will watch Scarlet Witch bullshit show first, and we'll see how it goes. And apparently, we're gonna get some. Apparently, we'll also get some Star Wars shows, and they've talked about so much with that streaming service. I really kind of wonder if they'll do the same model with Netflix and just like release everything at one time. But I mean, you think about like all that stuff they'd have to be producing at one time. I can't imagine they just do it all at once. But of course, they'll have movies and stuff you could stream all the time.
Sure.
I think it could be pretty cool. Let's see what they got for us then. Well,
Cool.
Guido, have you watched anything recently?
Oh, we're at that point.
We are at that point.
I just watched the movie Hereditary.
Hereditary. Who's in that one?
Toni Collette,
Okay.
Ann Dow.
Okay.
I think that's her name.
Oh,
That's about it that I can really name off the top of my head.
get up real quick. Ooh, this movie. Yes. What'd you think?
I thought it was good. It's weird, but it's good. I could see it's a horror movie, and that involves a family and their misfit child or children, I should say. And I can't say anything, and because I'd give away too much, but it's got scary parts, that's for sure. Definite scary parts. The ending is a little weird, but stick with it and give it like a few hours to simmer and really think about it. Yeah, I think you'll come around.
Interesting. Do you
It's a
think it
thinker.
opens itself up? Really?
Yeah.
Would you consider it a horror film?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. Yeah, I don't want to give any because there's stuff like I went into it I watched the preview and it looked like a typical um this family has to deal with a kid who might be like possessed or something or just like is disturbed enough, kind of like the Omen with Damien. And it turned out to be so much more than that. So much more than that. And it really surprised me. Definitely probably the best horror movie I've seen this year. And I like horror movies.
Yeah. Very good. Very good. Yeah, I'd heard good praise about it. 'Cause, you kind of see the ad for it and some publicity, and you're like, horror film. They've kind of got a bad rap nowadays because they're, normally cheaply made and just kind of thrown out with some sort of gimmick just to make money. And it works. I'm looking here. The film only cost $10 million and it made almost 80 million. That's impressive, but it's got almost a 90% on Rotten Tomatoes. And everything I've heard about it's great.
The only bad point is like all the acting's great except for one person in it, and it's the son. And there's a point in the movie where he cries, and it sounds so fake, and it takes you out of it. It's like,
oh jeez.
You're like, what the fuck is he doing? Like, you know that they had to take several takes of that, and that they were like, okay, this is the best one.
Oh boy, that just hurts to think about.
But there's moments in it where he does a really good job. It's just the crying is so bad.
Oh my god. Well, I'm definitely going to have to watch that. 'Cause finally looking at it, it kind of sprung my memory because I heard that it was really, really good. And from a sea of terrible horror films that we've had recently, mainly just being cash grabs, I was shocked to see that this one actually did well and people were giving it high ratings. So that's wonderful. I'll definitely check that out. Well, I've watched a movie, and I'd have to say it's a movie that I'd seen all the best clips in the past and never saw it all the way through start to finish. And that's a film called The Room.
Ooh.
And
wait, is it The Room or Room?
It was The Room. Yes, the Tommy Wiseau film. I did really want to watch Room. And actually, it's so funny you say that because I was on Amazon Instant Video, and it was The Room, the good movie, had been on there to stream for free for a long time, and it wasn't there anymore. I'm like, shit, I don't know if I want to pay for it. I'm like, wait, Room? Maybe I'll watch The Room. So that's how I got to watching it. And I mean, oh God, what is there to say that hasn't been said already? The movie's a piece of crap. But I don't know if I found it as entertaining as a bad movie as I have like Battlefield Earth. It's definitely, it's lower than Battlefield Earth, I'd say. Production value is not even close. The acting is shockingly not even close. And that's really saying something. And overall, but I did find it just like any bad movie that's interesting to watch. It is a fun movie to watch in that you see where they're going, but it's amazing how spectacularly they fail at every single piece of it. And to me, those are the best bad movies is when you can just see where they're shooting and they just miss by 100 miles. And all the good scenes like the high doggy scene and the oh hi Mark scene, all that stuff is funny, but seen those a million times. But the ones that I didn't know about were all the sex scenes and how close they were together.
Yeah,
and that killed me because the third sex scene is just shots that were already in the first sex scene, just a little bit faster and put in different orders. And what cracks me up is Tommy Wiseau has this laugh. It's I don't know if I can mimic and that's all he does during the sex scene. You hear the girl going, He's going over and over again, just the same track used over and over, and he'll be like kissing her, and he'll be going, and that just it kills me how funny that is. But after that, we watched The Disaster Artist, which is a fairly recent film made by what's that guy's name? He's got the face that you want to punch, James Franco, and his brother. And he directed it and stars in it as Tommy Wiseau. And his brother, I think his brother's name is Danny Franco. I don't know. He also has a face you kind of want to punch. He plays as the guy who plays as Mark. So the gist of the story, how the film is made, is Tommy Wiseau apparently seems like almost limitless money. No one knows where it come from. No one even knows what country he's from. Or anything, or his age, a matter of fact. And they meet and they decide that, they can't land any parts in Hollywood to act. So they're just going to make their own movie. And that's how The Room's made. And Tommy writes it, produces it, directs it, pretty much controls everything about the film. And Mark also co-stars in it. And it's kind of going over their relationship. It's all based on a book, and I can't remember the name of the book it's based off of, and it just kind of goes over their struggles and how the guy who plays this Mark actually gets some chances to be in some TV shows and some other parts, but Tommy's a bit manipulative and kind of just won't let him do it. So it's kind of the struggle of Tommy holding the guy Mark back, and that's kind of fascinating. Apparently they didn't go very far into how much of a dick Tommy Wiseau was on set, but I think it covered it enough that where you could see that he was probably not a lot of fun to work with. And overall I thought it was a fun little film, especially after watching The Room all the way for the first time, and to kind of see that behind the scenes in that way. And I'd recommend it. I would probably watch The Room first, and if you haven't seen it already, or else it may not be as entertaining because they make like little quips about why is he humping her like close to her belly button and not like next to her pussy, and it's stuff you're thinking during the film too, like why is his dick so far up on her? He's acting like he's screwing her. It makes no sense. And so yeah, check it out. Check both out.
I had a good time with Imitation Artist. I've never seen The Room. I just watched Imitation Artist.
Really?
It's something that, I don't want to sit and watch a bad movie by myself. Like if someone had approached me and said, hey, we're going to go see The Room at midnight. It's this weird ass fucking movie that's really bad and people shout at it. You want to come? I'd go to that, but I'm not going to sit and watch it, just alone. I don't care how funny the blunders might be. It's a miserable experience for me.
I would agree. I don't know if I'd watch it alone either. I probably wouldn't have even watched all of it. It was just Megan had seen it like a million times, and so she was joking about it, and she was laughing at me because my jaw was just like wide open the whole time. And I think we should probably do a movie night of that one. That would be a fun one. We need to get with Fruity. He's trying to organize some movies for us all to watch. So we'll need to mention that one. It'll be a really good group movie night. But yeah, definitely check out both of them. Well, we have a couple of emails that I think we should knock through. They're actually
baby.
Yeah, I love emails. I love your emails. I love your tweets. Gotten some wonderful tweets talking about your favorite movies and everything. Keep them coming. Let's jump into our first email. It's from our dear friend, Lone Wolf Alex. And this is a tough question, but we're going to tackle it the best we can. I recently watched No Country for Old Men. I hadn't seen it since I hadn't seen it since it for quite a while, and noticed how interesting the scene cuts were. They always were hard cuts, but never felt out of place. Was there any other movie that you can think of where a movie did this that you enjoyed? And that is an extremely tough question, but a great one. And
I don't know what the scene cuts were like. Like, I watched it when it came out. I don't remember.
They were fairly hard cuts, and I guess let's go ahead and talk about when we say a hard cut, what does that mean? Generally, hard cuts are viewed as being very negative because it is tough to do one correctly, and that is when you go from one scene, maybe it ends off onto a sentence, a conversation, it's not quite resolved, and then you just cut straight to another scene. Usually, it's two people having a conversation about something awkward, like they killed their dog. I don't know. And they're like, oh my God, you killed our dog? Then cut to the next day. That they kind of jar you a little bit. They don't normally make sense, but there are some filmmakers, the Coen brothers being excellent examples, that can really use that jarring experience of a harsh scene cut to the film's advantage. And I do agree, like with No Country for Old Men, you are constantly feeling uneasy. I kind of equate it to the more modern day Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid, where you have this constant feeling of dread, of this negative energy coming towards you, and you can't stop it. Mm-hmm. And that's what No Country does so well. And I agree that the cuts are sharp, and that almost intensifies that uneasiness because a scene could change at any moment, and you're either going to have a negative outcome, maybe a slightly positive outcome, like he made it through the night, or anything in between. So, and that's where the Coen brothers they're fantastic storytellers. They know how to do film, and they're one of the very few directors or creative types I think can use something that in any other hands would be a complete negative and a bad choice for another film, but they can harness it correctly. And the only other person that I would say, well, there's tons of others. I mean, I would trust Scorsese or Kubrick or any of them with doing hard cuts. I'm sure they have, and I just can't think of a film off the top of my head. But I think Tarantino does quite a few hard cuts, especially so one film I can think of is definitely not his most popular, but was Jackie Brown. There were quite a few cases where you would have some interesting cuts. Maybe I wouldn't call them necessarily hard, but they were very jarring and can really move you around the story. I mean, you could probably even say Pulp Fiction in some cases, but
Pulp
I
Fiction
wouldn't
definitely.
You would, yeah, you're right, because it is a jarring experience, and you're moving around in time. And that's what makes it even more fascinating. But Tarantino definitely, a lot of his films do have that. Django Unchained had quite a few where there were moments where they were cut a little rough, and of course that's also his style. He likes that grindhouse style, and those are notorious for those kinds of awkward cuts. Guido, do you have any in mind?
Well, another Coen brother film is Big Lebowski. Has one of the best hard cuts, and I forget what it's transitioning from, but it's the scene where what's her name? I can't think of the actress's name. The redhead, older.
Oh yeah, I can't remember her name either.
Juliet something. Anyway, she's swinging. It cuts, and then it's like her fucking swinging naked on a fucking pendulum and throwing paint down.
Oh God, you're right. That is an awkward cut because there's no sound or anything. It's just all of a sudden you see this lady like swinging brushes. Oh my God, I forgot all about that. Yes, that is a good one. That's a very good one. I really need to go back and watch that one.
Thanks for the question, Alex.
Yeah, Alex, that was a really good one. Very good question. Well, we got one more email from Joe, also known as King Dop. Hey. Hoping I get this in before the discussion about documentaries, but when you two were talking about them last pod, I remember one of my favorites that I stumbled across a while back. It's called The Last One, and it's about this old hillbilly who goes out into the woods to make illegal hooch. I watched it originally on YouTube, so the quality wasn't great, but it was still really interesting to watch. Really enjoying the podcast and excited for the next one. Joe. Oh, thank you so much, Joe. That really means a lot. I'm happy you're enjoying it. And that does sound like a very fascinating documentary. I'll definitely have to check that out. Reminds me of home, honestly. You never know what you find in those hills of Tennessee. You may come across this beautiful acres of grass and cows and stuff, or you may come across a patch of marijuana and some old stills making some moonshine. You always kind of wonder when you look up in the mountains and you see a little bit of smoke coming out, like, wonder what that's about. Definitely a very popular activity back in the hills of Tennessee. So I'll definitely have to check that out. That sounds very fascinating. And, well, thank you. Thank you. Well, you know what? I think that just about wraps things up. Next week, and Gweedo and I wanted to go ahead and tell you all, the movie we're going to be reviewing is called Mandy. And I think it's probably one that Gweedo and I both have been very excited about. And it's weird to say I'm very excited about a Nicolas Cage film because if you know his situation he's in with owing the IRS like $50 million and his career kind of went in the tank, he's kind of had to make anything to make money. A lot of those films have been overseas jobs and haven't necessarily been the best. But this one film, although a very, you would probably call it an indie film, I have no idea the production company behind it, who the director is, or anything. It seems just came out of nowhere. It has had us very excited. And I just want some batshit crazy Nicolas Cage in my life again. And we're going to see next week if it delivers that. Or maybe it delivers something better. I don't know. Who knows? I guess we'll find out next week. Right now, it is in select theaters. It's a fairly limited release. The only ones around here were Alamo Draft Houses that were showing it, which that's kind of their flair. Those older, or not older, but more indie rough films. But it may not be in your area, but don't worry about it because right now you can actually rent it from Amazon Video, from iTunes. Google probably has it, like $6-7. Go for it. Watch it and tune in next week. And hell, if you've already watched it before that point, send us an email to justokmovies@gmail.com. Let us know your thoughts about it because I'm sure we're going to have a fun time discussing it, or at least I hope so. We'll see if it's good.
Yeah, just Google Mandy movie poster and look at the movie poster. If you've never heard anything about this movie, just look at the movie poster because it's metal as fuck.
It's great. Don't watch what I would recommend because I hear that the trailer can maybe give away a little bit. I don't know that for sure. If you're maybe interested and you like that poster, just don't watch anything else. Just get the movie and start it. So that way you're in for the experience. But that's my recommendation. But definitely go check it out. Also, if you just want to send us a voicemail, you can always email a voicemail in if you want, or you can give us a call. Just go to justokmovies.com, scroll to the bottom of the page, and you'll see our voicemail number. So shoot us one. We'd love to hear what you've got to say about any of our topics, about Mandy next week. If you want to talk about some theories for Captain Marvel or X-Men or hell, if you want to talk about The Room, go for it. Love to hear your correspondence. You guys are fantastic, and I love every single one of you. And you know what? I love you too, Gweedo.
Hey,
you're
man,
a good
I
man.
love you.
Oh, dude, you're too kind. Well, all right, guys. I think that'll just about wrap things up. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your week. God bless, and I will see you all next week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.